Seattle Proposition Numbers 1A and 1B. Proposition 1A was submitted to the City Clerk as Initiative 134, and Proposition 1B was proposed as an alternative to 1A by the City Council and Mayor as Ordinance 126625. The two propositions concern allowing voters to select multiple candidates on their ballots in city primary elections. Voters will be asked two questions. 1. If either of these proposals should be enacted, yes or no? And 2. Regardless of the answer in question 1, which option would they choose should one of these proposals be enacted, 1A or 1B? The responses to question 2 will only be counted if there are more yes votes than no votes in question 1. Proposition 1A, Initiative 134, would allow voters in primary elections for mayor, city attorney, and city council to select as many candidates as they approve of for each office. The two candidates receiving the most votes for each office would advance to the general elections, consistent with state law. The city would consult with King County to include instructions on the primary ballot, such as vote for as many as you approve of for each office. As an alternative, the Seattle City Council and Mayor have proposed Proposition 1B, which would allow primary election voters to rank candidates by preference. In the first round of counting, each voter's top preference would be counted. The candidate receiving the fewest votes would be eliminated. Successive rounds of counting would eliminate one candidate each round, counting each voter's top preference among remaining candidates until two candidates remain to proceed to the general election. King County would include instructions on the ballot for voters. Voters will be asked if either of these proposals should be enacted. Then they will be asked to choose which option they prefer, should one be enacted. All voters in the City of Seattle can vote on the two questions in Seattle Proposition Numbers 1A and 1B.
My name is Sarah Ward, and I'm a Seattle resident and attorney. Proposition 1A, or approval voting, is a simple, nonpartisan change that empowers voters. It lets you vote for all the candidates you support in Seattle primary elections, instead of just one. Just like today, the two candidates with the most votes advance to the general election. Proposition 1A means true representation. When you can support multiple candidates, every candidate will compete for your support. With approval voting, candidates must propose policies that are realistic to implement and popular with all voters, not just their strongest supporters. Proposition 1A will make our leaders accountable to underrepresented groups they'd usually ignore. In St. Louis, a majority-minority city, voters made history by electing the first ever Black woman as mayor using approval voting. According to election experts, approval voting winners represent voters better than any other election system, including ranked choice voting. That's why election reform groups like Equal Vote Coalition and the Center for Election Science support it. Proposition 1A is also fast and free to implement. City Council proposed Proposition 1B uses a complex system that would cost $3 million more per election and take until at least 2027 to implement. In contrast, approval voting is so simple, the ballot does not have to change. And just like today, results are available the evening of the primary. Proposition 1A could be used in Seattle as soon as 2023. Vote yes on Proposition 1A for representation and accountability.
Ranked choice voting is a fairer and better way to vote that gives voters more voice and more choice. Whether you're a renter or a homeowner, you live in Rainier Beach or Magnolia, you have deep roots in Seattle, or you're a newcomer, most of us agree that our democracy works best when everyone is fully heard. With ranked choice voting, you have the freedom to vote for your candidates in the order you prefer and know that your vote and your voice will matter. Ranked choice voting lets you rank candidates based on your first, second, and third choices and so on, so that even if your first choice candidate doesn't win, you can still affect the outcome of the election because your vote will count towards your next choice. The other option on the ballot encourages you to select all the candidates you could settle for rather than the ones you really want to win, and you can't differentiate between the candidates you like best and who you could just live with. Ranked choice voting is a proven system that is already being used in more than 50 cities and counties across the US. It has encouraged more positive campaigning, and data shows that voters like it and find it simple. Together, and with the support of organizations like the League of Women Voters, Seattle-King County, the King County Democrats, Fair Vote Washington, and many other community-based organizations, we can give voters more voice and more choice with ranked choice voting. Vote yes on 1B.